Hello, welcome back to No More RIP. No More Residing in Property. My name is Ray Williams, and each week or each podcast I do talk about wealth and building wealth and getting out of poverty. Remember, wealth is your health. Each week, each show, I talk about how individuals, particularly individuals of color, can build personal wealth starting from scratch. Now, this week I'll follow up on the last show, which I talked about credit. And the reason I talk about credit is because credit is an asset. Believe me, it is a valuable asset that can be utilized when you need money. And you can also use that credit to get better interest rates, to get better approvals. Again, my name is Ray Williams. The show is No More RIP, No More Residing in Poverty. You can visit our website, www.YenoMemitInc. Spell it out. That's YenoMemitInc.com. Go to the website and you'll find lots of valuable information, a lot of free information. But go there and get educated. Become financially literate so you will understand what it takes to build personal wealth starting from scratch. So let's go into it again. Credit. Very good asset to have. Good credit, at least. You always want to keep your credit up to date, no matter what. Now, one of the problems in the industry at this time is the credit repair companies. They're on the rise again. They always come up and they go away. Now it's about AI. A lot of companies are out there promoting repair your credit through AI, artificial intelligence. Now, anyone knowing the credit industry know that AI is not conducive to correcting or basically managing your credit, because AI do not know what your situation is personally. Now, when they talk about repairing credit, they're talking about, in general, about removing inaccurate, outdated, obsolete accounts, which you can do on your own just by disputing it with the credit bureau. Give an example. Outdated account is an account that's been reported, a negative account that's been reported for over 7 years. By law, the credit bureaus can only keep negative accounts on the consumer's credit file for 7 years. So if a credit repair company come along and they look at a credit file and they see that that particular account has been reported for 7 years and 3 months, they know they can dispute that account and the credit bureau will remove that account. Simple as that. They do not do any wonders. A lot of them try some trickery stuff, we call it, which is to basically do shotgun approach. They send various dispute letters to the credit bureaus in hopes that the credit bureau will slip up and miss one of the letters, and by law they will have to remove the account. Now, the problem with that, generally, when they do remove those accounts, once they verify the information is correct, they can place the report back on, the account back on your profile. So what you want to look out for if you do decide to use a credit repair company, read the contracts. They offer guarantees, but a guarantee means nothing if you can't get your money back. And give you an example, I have one particular company here, and they read, boost your credit score, 45 days or less. Now, read into that. They're saying boost your credit scores 45 days or less. What does that mean? Basically nothing. If you go to this particular company or any company and they promise to increase your credit scores in 45, 60 days or whatever, that means basically nothing. Because if they manage to increase your scores by 5 points, let's say your score is a 550, and they do increase the score some way, the score go up by 5 points, they did increase your score. So they can argue that we did increase your score, even though it's still inadequate score. So think about it. What are you buying? What are you signing up for when you go to a credit repair company? But learn to manage your own credit. Go to ftc.gov and look up credit. You can find all kind of information. you can go and find the Fair Credit Debt Collection Practices Act. Read up on that. It's not very long. So you'll get understanding of how to manage your credit, what can and what cannot be done. There are no secrets. People come up with, hey, secrets. We have a secret. We have a little known secret that most people in the industry don't know. Anytime anyone says secret, they're basically saying, let me scam you. Yeah, believe me, let me scam you. I can do it better than someone else. Again, my name is Ray Williams. The show is No More Residing in Poverty. Again, you can reach us at info, that's INFO, at knowlededge.com. Knowlededge, that's YENOMEMIT.com. And to make that easy, look at the translation backwards. It says money time. But you have any questions or comments, email me. You can also go to our website and take advantage of some of the free resources we have. And actually, one resource we have is our credit guide to credit repair. You go on there, you can go to resources, and you can get yourself a copy of that particular guide, which gives you 10 favorable things that will help you increase your credit scores. But to increase your credit scores, you must understand what makes up the credit score. Number one would be payment history. You get more points. Longevity. The longer you have credit, the higher points you get. Usage capacity, which means how much of your actual credit do you use. So there are various things that make up the credit score. So for some companies to come along and say, we can remove your account and we can increase your credit scores in 60 days or 90 days, believe me, it's a scam. Look at it from this point. Let's say, for example, you have 10 items on your credit report. 8 of those items are negative. And let's say or assume that the company do remove those 8 negative accounts. That doesn't increase your credit score. It can actually cause your credit score to go lower. Think about why. Because the system is based on how often you use credit, how long you have used credit, what type of accounts you have. So if you're left with 2 accounts, and those 2 accounts may say be old accounts that are good, they basically don't have as much weight. So based on the information that's in your report, after those 8 accounts are removed, your credit score can actually drop. So be careful when you're trying to get your credit straight. Do it the right way. Don't go for the illegal tactics, because there are a lot of people out there who will have you to do illegal things or attempt to have consumers to do illegal things to get their credit scores up. But generally, they do not work because of the way the system is. The credit bureaus, they know about all this, so there are no secrets. You know, I got into the credit management, I call it, business before technology, when we had to send actual hand or typewritten letters to the credit bureau to dispute items. So the credit bureaus know about all these scams that's going on. You know, they even have a clause about frivolous disputes, which means if they see a pattern of a company taking what we call a shotgun approach, meaning they may send 10 letters in regarding disputing one account. They pick up on that and they consider it a frivolous dispute, and they won't acknowledge it because they see that, hey, you're trying to hope we slip up and don't catch this. Now, the way that works is that whenever you dispute something on your report, the credit bureau have X amount of days to respond. And the creditors, okay, the way it works, you respond to the credit bureau, the bureau go through the creditor who you got the credit from. The creditor has to verify the information to the credit bureau. Now, the way they play the game sometimes, they hope that the creditor doesn't respond to the credit bureau. And by law, the credit bureau has to remove the account. But if they do respond, then it stays on. So back to what I said earlier. Let's assume that the credit repair company disputed an account, and the creditor did not respond within the allocated time. So the credit bureau removes that account. But now let's say 30 days later, the creditor finally reported back to the credit bureau, then the credit bureau puts the account back on file. So you have to understand what you're getting into. But always keep your credit score as high as possible. Actually, I did some research, particularly last night on credit scores. And let's start off with who I basically, try to educate for the most part, which is African American and black people. Average score is under 620. Over 44% of African Americans' credit scores are below 640. Now that's not really bad, but that's not where you want to be. You want to be at least at 650 or at least at 700. But 650 is adequate for most creditors. 620, let's say 50, it'll get you something, but you may not get the best interest rate. A lot of companies will turn you down. As a former mortgage loan officer, we had cases where they had what they call score-driven approvals. And what that meant is that they required, let's say, a 650 credit score. And if we pulled a report and the person had a 648, they was automatically declined because they did not meet the guideline of 650. So it varies from automobile industry, credit card industry. Everyone have their own matrix that they use to approve or disapprove credit. No one knows exactly what. Some cases you may know the company will tell you we require at least a 650 or 700, etc. But not to say you can't get a loan. There are some lenders, especially if you're buying a home, they will go under 600 on the credit scores through the FHA loans sometimes. Then that depends because that goes up and down. But for credit cards, automobiles, you can still get loans, but you pay a higher price for that money. Now, here's some educational information. If you go out and buy anything and you get a unreasonable interest rate, and your credit score, let's use 600 as an example. And let's say you pay on that, let's say automobile for 1 year. And during that year's time, you make your payments on time, you make other corrections on your credit. And let's say within that year's time, your score go up to 650. Now, what you can do is go back and refinance that vehicle, assuming it's a late model vehicle, less than 5 years old. You go back and refinance it, and there's a chance you may get a lower lower interest rate than you did when you originally bought it because you had a lower credit score. So that's part of your management part. You don't buy something at one point and then keep that same rate unless it's a very good rate. If you buy a home now and you have a 4.25% interest rate and you can't get a lower rate, then it doesn't make sense to go and refinance property unless you're doing a cash out refinance for whatever reason. Again, my name is Ray Williams. The show is No More RIP, No More Residing in Poverty. If you have your questions or comments, email info@yenoemit.com. Again, that's info, info at YENOMEMIT.com, and I will respond back to you. Also, go to our website and take advantage and sign up for a free consultation, not just for credit, but for personal finance. And actually, we have a test that consumers can take. It's a basically open test, but it's just for each individual to see where they stand for its financial literacy. It's self-scoring. It automatically actually gives you the score. And that's up to you. You can take it. We don't see the score, but it's a tool that we like for consumers to use just to see where they stand when it comes to financial literacy. So again, go to the website, www.yenoemit.com. Review our website. Look at what type of products we offer. Look at what type of free information you can get. And believe me, if you want to get out of poverty, it can be done. But you have to make some efforts. You have to learn financial literacy or become financially literate. I see so many people that make so many mistakes because they are financially illiterate. Not just, from an academic point. I mean, I've had educated people with college degrees who did not understand a lot of things when it comes to personal finance. So that's why I always encourage people, focus on becoming financially literate. You can save yourself a lot of money. You can avoid scams. Because when someone comes to you and they tell you, well, we can do this, you have enough information to where you know what questions to ask, what to look for. I'll give you an example. I spoke with someone about 2 weeks ago. A company convinced her to send crypto. She know nothing about crypto, but they gave her the instructions on how to go to a machine and send crypto. And like I explained to her, I explained to everyone, never send crypto or gift cards to anyone who calls you on any type of financial transaction. Guarantee you, if they ask you to send crypto or they ask you to send a gift card, it's a scam. And a lot of these companies, they have very legitimate looking websites. So if they say they're from X company and their website will be a replicated website, which looks just like the legal company, but they always give you a different phone number to call. So when you call their toll-free number, they make it seem as though you are speaking with whatever that company is that they're scamming through. So never send crypto, never send gift cards. Always call back. If someone calls you or texts you regarding a bill, even from a bill collector, don't call the number back they gave you. Do your research, look up the legitimate company's phone number, and then call back and verify that it's from that particular company. Again, there are lots of scams out there. With the economy the way it is, people are being laid off, people are becoming stressful, and they are doing desperate things. And the scammers know this. These people are desperate. They're in a bad situation. I get calls daily about your loan has been approved. It's in our underwriting department. I know it's a scam because I have not applied for a loan. So if you have not applied for a loan, how can someone call you and tell you you have been approved and they need additional information? So do not fall for all the scams that's out there. Just settle down, take your time, and find out if whoever you're dealing with is a legitimate company. And never give out your personal information, your social security number, date of birth, etc., to anyone that contacts you regarding a financial transaction. That's why we all need to be educated financially, because we're not, it hurts us in the long run. That's why I go back to what I said earlier. Credit is an asset. Treat it like an asset. Just like your home, in most cases, is an asset if you're not upside down. So treat your credit the same way. You hold on to your credit just like you hold on to your cash. It's valuable. Monitor your credit. Get a free copy of your credit report from annualcreditreport.com. That's www.annualcreditreport.com. And there you can get a copy of your credit report from each bureau, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Now, there are other companies out there that use similar names. One might be annualfreecreditreport.com. That's not the legitimate site. The legitimate site is annualcreditreport.com. And when you go to these sites, you know they are not the legitimate sites because they will ask you for, to purchase something generally. They want you to purchase or sign up for some type of subscription. But the official site is annualcreditreport.com to get a free copy of your report. Now, there are other ways to get free copies of your credit report. If you get laid off your job, you can get a free copies rather. If you are on what they call it, SNAP, the supplemental food program, you can get a copy. You know, you're unemployed. If you get laid off, you can get a copy. So there are ways to get free copies. If you apply for credit and get turned down, you can get a free copy of your report. So there are various ways to get free copies of your report. But now to get a copy of your scores, you have to pay for those, which is generally, I would say at this point maybe $8 to maybe $10. I haven't checked in a while. But you can get a copy of your credit scores. But set up a system that would help you become a better credit manager. Not just for you, but for your family. Because good credit scores can mean a lot. When you got an emergency come up and you need, assuming that you're working and you have, say, good cash flow management, and a situation come up, you need to borrow $10,000. First thing they're going to look at is your credit. Sometimes if you have collateral, they still consider your credit because what they want to see is that you have proven that you will pay on time. Now, from the last show, I did bring this up. Whenever you find yourself in a situation where you cannot make a payment, the first thing you do is call the server or the creditor. Example, if you know you cannot make your car payment is due on the first of the month, and you know for sure you will not be able to make that car payment. Do not sit back and do nothing. The first thing you should do is call the lender or the servicer, they call them, depends on each situation, but generally they call servicer. That's the company that services the account. Let them know your situation. Set up a payment plan. Split payment. If you can't do a split payment, ask them for a 30-day extension. What a 30-day extension does, that's just what it says. It extends your payment overall. And it does not count against your credit. Example, if you took out a 60-month loan on your automobile, now it becomes a 61-month loan because they extended it by one payment and it did not count as a late payment or delinquent 30-day account. So remember that creditors want to work with you. So your credit, if it's good, it should not go in the red because you took no action. Because there is always a way to work with creditors. Extended payments, split payments, or whatever. They are willing to work with you, but you have to contact them and work with them. Too many people try to dodge them, thinking that, hey, I can't pay, so no sense in me answering the phone, no sense in me calling them back. But that's not true. Lenders want to keep good accounts on their books. So when they extend your payment out, that's still considered a good account. It doesn't count against you. Now, when you go and you look at your promissory note generally, that explains the conditions of the loan. In some cases, they tell you, well, call this number. If you have a financial situation or you're in a bind, call this number. Because they do want to work with you. They want to have good accounts on their books. Because if the lenders or the servicers have too many bad accounts, it looks bad for them. And that's why they extend these accounts out. Sometimes I've seen situations, especially with homes, where they might extend your payments on your home 3 months. Or like years ago during the real estate crisis, I've seen payments get extended out for a year. So that meant that this person got to live in that house for a year with making no payments, and it did not count against them because the lender understood their situation. And they was buying time for that person to get back on their feet. So take advantage of your servicer being willingness rather to work with you. It's easy. There's nothing, they're not going to bite your head off. They want to work with you. Ray Williams, the show is No More RIP. No more residing in poverty. Now, our next show, we'll talk about business. Because now with the economy the way it is, business. If it's at a home-based business, particularly, because with technology now, it's amazing the things you can do to start a business, how easy it is, how cost efficient it is to start a business, particularly a business at home. So stay tuned, because business at this point is very important. Because I've seen situations where people have, admitted they've been trying to get a job for 6 months and they cannot find an equally paying job. So if you're in that position, look at what type of business you can start at home. Some businesses you can start at home for less than $300, believe it or not. Using technology, you can reach people to get your first sales. You're spending less than $200. So business is what I will talk about, and how we need, particularly as African Americans, focus more on building businesses, starting small businesses and building those small businesses into big businesses. Again, Ray Williams, the show is no more RIP, no more residing in poverty. Email us at info@uknownimage.com. Thank you for watching, and please share the video with your friends and associates.